Every few business days, another aging celebrity pops out of the woodwork to share a newly discovered political truth. They flirt with reactionary talking points, test the waters of right wing media, and then, the moment the backlash hits, they retreat into the pitch black glow of a frantic, carefully curated Notes app apology. We grew up with these artists. We bought their albums and memorized their choreography. Now, political operatives are using that exact emotional attachment to make oppressive, regressive movements seem palatable to the communities they actively harm. When beloved entertainers suddenly align with these factions, they often brand themselves as brave freethinkers stepping off a political plantation. In reality, they are repeating the same recycled talking points that have been floating around the internet for years. For the Fayons, the relationship is deeply personal, built on decades of loyalty. But for the star, the pivot is entirely transactional, a calculated bid for relevance, access, and capital in rooms where they are valued solely for the demographic they can deliver. Lending a familiar face to these platforms transforms a private choice into a public endorsement. It launders a political scam, normalizing the erosion of rights for the very people who built their careers. Take TLF's Chili. As a member of one of the most successful girl groups in history, she spent 30 years enjoying the trust of a massive, predominantly black and female fan base. Then the public records dropped, revealing her political exposure masquerading as a clumsy accident. The Federal Election Commission filings showed a queer pattern: 17 separate financial donations to MAGA linked PACs and conservative figures, including $7 to Texas Senator Ted Cruz. Beyond the checkbook, she was caught reposting a debunked transphobic right wing conspiracy theory targeting former First Lady Michelle Obama. Faced with the receipts, the PR machine kicked in. She released a video claiming her thumb slipped on Instagram. She didn't read the fine print. She thought she funded veterans and helped the children. It takes an incredible stretch of the imagination to believe that a wealthy, well resourced adult with management and legal teams keeps accidentally moonwalking into right wing political funding. You do not accidentally route money to WinRed 17 times before breakfast. This green up strategy is pure emotional manipulation. It relies on a soft voice and spiritual buzzwords, betting that the public is too nostalgic and intellectually lazy to recognize a deliberate political choice. Then there is the second archetype, the hollow performance of political rebellion, perfectly illustrated by Nick Cannon and Amber Rose. In a recent interview, Cannon casually mentioned his alignment with Donald Trump, justifying it with the oldest, laziest talking point on the internet, that Republicans freed the slaves and Democrats are the party of the KKK. This timeline chart shows the mid 20th century party realignment. When someone points out the Southern Democrats' racist history, they conveniently omit the Lily White movement, a post Civil War push to expel Black Republicans to appease white Southerners. By 1954, the pro segregationist base had already begun a massive migration to the Republican Party. Kamen tried to legitimize his stance by quoting a 1956 essay by W.E.B. Du Bois about neither party caring for Black people. But Du Bois was writing during a specific era when Southern Democrats were blocking anti lynching bills and Northern Republicans were completely apathetic, a dynamic that looks nothing like today's legislative map. Celebrities love to call this kind of contrarianism leverage. But leverage implies you have the power to force actual policy changes. What they are actually experiencing is permission, being allowed into the room by the people who hold the real power, as long as they behave usefully. Nick Cannon's performance of political rebellion falls apart under basic historical scrutiny. Lacking the power to move policy, he operates as an unserious actor, auditioning for relevance in rooms that view his audience with contempt. The real danger starts when we look past the celebrity podcasts and the Instagram comments and focus on the actual legislation being drafted in Washington. The administrations these stars are validating actively work to strip resources from vulnerable communities. They slash federal HIV funding, gut diversity programs, and erase Black history from schools under the guise of parental rights. 60 years ago, Malcolm X diagnosed this exact problem. He pointed out the absurdity of elevating entertainers to political leaders. He argued that these entertainers are deliberately set up as puppets by the white power structure. Their job is to pacify the community, substituting real civic organization with celebrity spectacle. To break this cycle, we have to stop treating fame as a substitute for integrity. Just because we danced to someone's Psalms in the 90s doesn't mean they have the depth, knowledge, or right to guide our political future. The great American scam is taking oppressive politics and dressing them up in a famous face. The only way to defeat the grift is to stop accepting it just because the lighting is good and the messenger is familiar.